Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and the new big balance patch for Mortal Kombat 11 is live. So this is actually even out before the launch of Nightwolf, who is still next week. And there's a lot of changes. First and foremost, before anything else, there will be timestamps in the video description. Check those if you want to skip around. And a link to the full patch notes also in the video description if you want to have a gander at it. So first, before we get to the character-specific stuff, there's a lot of small changes, and a lot of them I can't really show you off too well here, like improvements to AI logic, colorblind modes, HDR TV settings. They added some stuff to patch for practice mode to see like your info is a lot better for frame data, that kind of stuff. A lot of small changes that don't really merit showing off in any real way, shape, or form. But if you want to have a look at that, it's all in the patch notes, so you can have a look at it. The Dimitri Vegas skin for Sub-Zero is apparently in now. I don't know who that guy is. It's awesome it's in the game, though. More skins is better, I suppose. So what we're going to be doing is going over every single character in the game that got a change in the patch, which is basically everybody. So this is probably going to be a long video, so bear with me. Once again, timestamps in the video description. And we're going to go in the order of the patch notes here. So we are going to start with Baraka. Now, of everyone, Baraka just pretty much has the shortest change list, so you know. Baraka was always in a good place. He wasn't one of the best characters, although he was a very good character still, just not top 5. And he works, so his change list is the least. A lot more characters are going to get a lot more in depth as we go on here. But for Baraka, character-specific changes, low stab, that is down 1. Low stab, and by the way, you can see the new little menu here they have for the frame data, which is very slick and a lot better. It has 1 more frame of recovery. So it recovers just a little bit less. And Baraka, the Baraka Circer Amplify Crushing Blow held check input is now the correct button. It was a bug fix. And for Baraka, hey, that's it. That's all. If you played Baraka, I think you got to be happy with that. Baraka, he worked. He was good. So little changes. That's it. That's all. We'll move on to the next character. Now, moving on to Cassie. If you're worried about Cassie getting the hammer, being ruined, all that kind of stuff, don't worry, Cassie is still a very good character. Now, Cassie is a recipient of a few characters will have this, but they're doing a Street Fighter style thing in that we have variable health. So everyone before had 1,000 health, that was it, right? Cassie now has 950. So they're doing the Akuma route kind of thing, if you want to put it that way. Cassie obviously has a much better tool set than a lot of the characters, so now she will pay for it by having less health. So the standard is 1,000 health, and Cassie now has 950. Also, in a big change here, so she has like a couple bug fix stuff here. It says here, Ballbuster, this guy here, has increased victim region during its active frames. I'm not sure what that actually means. I tested around with it. It seems to be the same as it always was. But the glow kick has changed. So first and foremost here, if we just set it to block everything here, and we're going to flawless block this here. You might have noticed there, you can now flawless block the EX part. And that makes it -14. So there's a gap there now. And it's obviously not -3. Now, if it is not flawless blocked, it's still going to be safe. Don't worry about that, right? It is only -14 if the hit is flawless blocked. But that makes it punishable now. So you can't use that as like a brain dead escape. Also, you are not allowed to EX it if the original glow kick itself is blocked. So 111 glow click into safety, not going to happen anymore. Does not work. Besides that, we got some other bug fixes. Forward 4 here now has more frames of recovery, no matter if it hits or not. So if you're attempting just to do it here and just spam it over and over and over, you know, like, am I going to do forward 4 or I'm doing forward 1 here? That makes it a lot more easier to react to. So no more just like forward 4, forward 4, forward 4, forward 4 forever, because it does have more recovery. Other than that, she's still Cassie. Still has low gunshot, still has really strong combos, still has good restands, still controls a lot of the screen very easily. Cassie's still Cassie in the end. A little bit less health, and you can't use glow kick to basically excuse you making stupid mistakes that you shouldn't have made in the first place. Other than that, Cassie's still Cassie. Cassie is still good. So Cetrion, the main variation everyone uses is maybe a little different here. We'll talk about in a second here. And the other variation got a little bit of a buff. But first and foremost here, so stand 2-1 has its hit region adjusted I don't play Cetrion. Looks about the same as I remember it, so I'm not sure. Back 4 here, her sweep now has recovery decreased by 3 frames, meaning it will recover 3 frames faster than before, so a little bit safer on block, especially if you space it correctly. Ability conflicts of the elements. This is a non-competitive thing. I don't know much about it, but it summons random circles. I don't really mess around with the non-competitive stuff. Now, talking about the main variation everyone uses here. First up, geyser damage. Change so the damage actually happens correctly with the animation. And also says here, damage has been slightly lowered. Now, I'm not really the kind of person that says she needed slightly lowered, but when it means slightly lowered, it does mean slightly. It is much very small. Bouncing boulder. Everyone loves the bouncing boulder. So, Cetrion now is 5 frames less block stun, and before you freak out, it also recovers 5 frames faster. So even if you do it point blank in their face, it's still effectively the same difference. It's still plus on block in their face, right? So don't worry about that. But the big change here is if you flawless block it now, it is way more negative. So if you do it in their face and they flawless block it, they'll barely be pushed back here. And we'll just turn on flawless block so you can see here. So flawless, barely pushed back, now -2. So they're not going to get a punish or nothing like that, but it is nominally their turn now, not yours. So if you do it from far away still, even if flawless block from far away, that's still 0, right? And the further you're out, then it's still a plus, right? But it's basically just to discourage doing it literally in someone's face. But other than that, still same old, and still quite good. Also, the teleports. So far teleports here, in the air and regular, now have more frames of recovery, 48 from 37. This is seemingly a universal change. It doesn't affect your regular teleports. Your regular teleports are still what they are, but the far ones that get you way away from danger, those ones have more recovery now. Now, moving on to the other competitive variation. First up, the Earthquake ability. Earthquake, this guy right here, the old Goro ground pound kind of thing here. You can now hold up during it, and you'll cancel the first hit. And you'll go, and it's over, so you don't have to commit to both hits. So, in the corner too, especially, you basically a restand. As you can see here, you're substantially plus in their face. As you can see here, so all sorts of gimmicks and gigaws you can go for, that kind of fun stuff. So, once again, I'm not a Cetrion player, so I don't know if it's a big deal in the end, but still, it's something. Shattering Boulder, this guy right here, now has a crushing blow. It didn't have one before. All you have to do is hit it at max range. And when it means max range, it means max range. There's not a lot of room to mess around here. As you see here, you get a crushing blow. Easy peasy, more damage than you had before. These two changes, I think, make this competitive variation a lot more usable, in my opinion. And that's it for Cetrion. So, Dvorah got some changes, to say the least, first and foremost here. So, if you're in the variation that has Deadly Swarm, so, you can put a bug on someone and then call the bug back and get a little bit of damage. If you have a bug on someone now, forward throw is now a crushing blow. The big old bug! There you go. So, yeah, that's immediately a lot more useful. That is pretty real. Forward throws happen. And now if you have a bug on you, the threat that you can just get a crushing blow kind of whenevs is kind of a really big deal. Very nice to have, say the least. Get your almost 30% off that. Big deal. The Swarm move has more block stun and more pushback. Now, not to say it's super safe. As you can see here, -22, not super safe. But depending on what you're doing, and depending on how you space it, because you don't have to do it point blank necessarily, right? When it hits later in the active frames, more pushback, less, it's still negative, don't get us wrong, right? It's still negative, but it gets a lot more decent here the further and further away you do it. Like -14 this range, against most characters, is safe. So it makes it a lot more viable to use on block, say the least. The Widow's Kiss move, that's this guy here. And that's the kind that just hits you, and if you want to EX it, you can put it in the recapture state and go from there. So it can now be slightly delayed, so you can hold it, as you can see here, versus this is the regular version. Slightly delayed. The amplify window has been adjusted here. Damage is increased, which is good, because one of the big things about this thing is if you get the thing and you get the combo and all that, the damage was kind of not great. And the startup is faster, so you can actually kind of use this now as a reactionary move from full screen to catch people, versus before, while technically possible, a lot more harder. 6 frames faster now, and that literally can be all the difference in the world when it comes to reactionary grabbing people and going from there. Move is a lot better. Now we do have quite a few bug fixes as well. That'll be in the patch notes, once again in the video description. Now here's another big one. Forward 1, this guy right here. 12 frame startup instead of 15. Very big deal. Makes this move a lot more usable. It already had the range. The range was never the issue, but the fact that it was a bit slow was a bit of an issue. Making this move faster is a big deal, and once again helps their game plan out big time. Stand 2-1 here. Hit stun increased 7 frames. So if you do it raw here, now you're actually plus on hit. It can be +4 on hit. And it might help with some combo ability. I'm not really a Dvorah player myself, to be honest with you here. That combo is, I don't know if that comboed before or not. I'm not a Dvorah player, so you let me know on that one. But still, anything that's more plus on hit, definitely always a buff. Forward 2 and forward 2-2 both got buffed here. Forward 2 is now 1 frame faster. And honestly, 20 frames for the range it gave you, it was not bad already, honestly. So that's already better. Hit advantage by itself is also increased. 4-2-2 now has a little bit later cancel frames. Recovers 3 frames faster. So if you were to do it on block, just so you know, still unsafe, but less unsafe. For Dvorah as well, if you're in the other competitive variation, the strings with 4-2-2 can now also be done on whiff as well. They were not able to do that before. On whiff, on block, you can now do these. Stand 4 got normalized, 7% like most stand 4s will. Back 3-4, this guy right here. Also a buff here. 1 more active frame here on the crawling part, so a little bit easier hit stuff here. Does recover 1 frame slower on block, but it does recover 11 frames faster on hit, meaning you have a lot more hit advantage now if you get this off. So once again, buff. Also, now works on whiff as well. Also pretty cool. Down 3, big buff here. A lot more hit stun. She was in the Kotal Club before, where it really stank and was really bad. Now actually usable here. You can see here, 13 frames of hit advantage for a down 3, making it actually usable. Last change to go over here, 4-2-2-4. And we are talking about how 4-2-2 got better. So 4-2-2-4, you might notice this plus on block now. So what happened here is, before it used to be like -7. So there's a gap there now. So it's one of those deals where you can choose to flawless block it, or, you know, not flawless block it, and then still Dvorah's turn. She's in your face, +4. Big, big deal. Dvorah, much more real character now than she was before. Moving on to Erron Black. First and foremost, Erron's very hated fatal blow. Now 18 frames startup, much slower. Used to be the fastest fatal blow in the game, and wildly so, way faster than anyone else. And now, considering its overall level of power, considering it's a full screen deal, very quick, all that kind of fun stuff, definitely reined in a fair bit. Also, Scud Shot. Everyone knows Scud Shot. Everyone hates Scud Shot, right? Scud Shot recovery is now increased by 5 frames. So with 5 frames more recovery, that means stuff like this into Scud Shot. It's still going to be kind of real because the pushback is pretty intense. You can see here, you don't really get a free normal off that or nothing, but it's definitely much less his turn afterwards. Also, if you want to Scud Shot amplify the gunshot here, more negative on block. So you definitely, it is your turn now after Erron does that stuff. The Rattlesnake Slide amplified. This guy right here, I'm sure you love this one, now has 3 more frames of recovery. So he still gets you, don't worry, right? But it's not quite as dominant as was before. You got a little more time to breathe here, and he has to think a lot quicker before, you know, is he just going to throw you, or is he just going to bang you on the noggin, that kind of stuff. So a little bit worse for him, but still a very good move that anyone else in the game would love to have. His puddle, DOT puddle here. The puddle itself is a little bit smaller. Not a lot smaller, but a little bit here. So from ranges where it could hit before, like this is pretty much the edge of it now. If you're like a pixel out, no more. It's just a little bit smaller. Still, once again, still a hell of a move. So the boot. Obviously something was going to happen to the boot, right? So the boot, The gunshot afterwards, now, it is not as good. So what the enemy can do now, if you get blocked on your boot, and you go for the gunshot, they are able to block the boot, short hop the gunshot, and then punish you. So there's now actually counterplay against it other than just hoping he didn't do it or not. Still a good move, still a very strong option, because if they try to hop that stuff and you did no follow-up, you can get up and just smack him, right? But now there at least is counterplay to it. That if I know you're going to get your boot blocked and you're going to go for that gunshot right away, then at least I can hop and then have counterplay to it. So that makes that move a lot more fair. So for his gun here, a couple changes. So if you do a move here, and that's it, you're still in the stance. The stance doesn't stop. You actually now have to hold up to exit the stance. So neat little change, I guess. Not an Erron player myself, so I don't know the whole logistics of it. But yeah, after your moves here, you do have to hold up to exit the stance. Otherwise, if you just hit triangle or whatever, or 2, you'll just remain in the stance till the completion of the stance. And Erron's down 1, down 3 got changed up a little bit here. So down 1 here, recovery on block or miss, increased by frame, a little bit more negative here. But more hits done on an actual connected hit. Down 1 as well, recovery increased by single frame here, but has more hits done. So overall, Erron, he got nerfed, absolutely. But is Erron Black a bad character right now? God, no. Erron is still real strong, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're still worried about getting hit by 2 boots in a row, ain't nothing changed about that. He's a little more broad in line. The scud shot being more recovery now definitely helps bring him in line a little bit. Rando, fatal blow definitely nerfed a bit. And some of the more, let's call it what it is, brain dead pressure after slide, DX slide. It might be a little bit easier to deal with. But yeah, overall, Erron, he got nerfed. Fair changes, to say the least. Fair changes, but still an incredibly strong character. Now for Frost. I feel like Frost, they might have watched a certain video of mine because this is some changes I was talking about here. So back 1 is now 11 frames versus the 16 it was before. So this move is like actually usable also. Back 1 too. Now safe on block. Still -7. If you hit this on the second active frame, you can make it like -6, but still -7. Sucks, but you know. Versus like -20 or whatever it was before. Definitely a big deal. This move is so much more real, and conversely, it makes her so much more real. To have a real, usable, safe mid-string. Now, as I said, back 1-2-1, this guy here, more negative. Also a high, which makes me feel like they didn't want to fix the hitbox on it. Because it was classified as a mid before. So turning it from a mid to a high is like basically strictly a nerf. Because it did have really bad hitbox issues. But that said, back 1-2, all forgiven on that front. Very real move now, very usable move now. When you're in those pressure situations, it's like, da-da, you know, get your combo, good to go. So much better than it was before. This is a massive, massive change to the character. Now, before I go all too crazy on that, her down 1. Down 1 works now. Down 1 is a frame faster. It's not a 9-framer, so it's just like you're down 3 now. Also, if you slight delay here, and actually, let me just turn the enemy onto crouching. It actually jails now into stand 1. Her stand 1 was real bad. That's not makes me. That's not. You know, I'm not even gonna edit that out. I'm not editing that out at all. Screw it. Her down 1, bad. Her jailing potential, non-existent. Now exists. That's all that really needs to be said. Very good. I know it's not like a big sexy change like where it's like a special look super cool or whatever, but this is actually a big deal for her and it's actually a good change. Down 3, also buffed here. More hit advantage, less negative on block. What's not to love? It was already pretty decent normal, and now it's all the better yet. Microburst, which is this guy here, now recovers faster, and if you go for the Microburst, this guy here actually recovers much quicker now. Fantastic. Covers 2 frames quicker normally. And if you miss a second hit, which can happen sometimes, and that's with the hitboxes, it will recover way faster. The variation with the head that comes off and explodes, that's much higher up here. It has a much higher explosion radius, much bigger explosion radius. Glacier Calving, which is the shield. The shield now lasts longer and she recovers faster. So when she does the move, she can block and do whatever she wants much quicker. Lasts 2 seconds now from about 1.5 seconds. EX version also covers quicker, lasts 3 seconds instead of 2 seconds. So overall, once again, not going to have new combo routes or nothing, but just quality of life changes, which is all she ever really needed. Because, like, her combo stuff and all that's always been good. That was never the issue, right? The fact that she actually can compete when someone's in her face now makes all the difference in the world between down 1 and jail changes, the fact down 1's faster, back 1-2 being real now. Big changes, big buffs. On the Geras. Is Geras dead? Did they nerf him to oblivion? Well, he got nerfs, but he's still the same solid character he always was. A lot of his nerfs have to do with crushing blows. So, hey, how many times have you seen this guy do the crushing blow? The requirement's different now. They actually have to be near the wall when it hits. So, no more just on whiff punish or counter hit or whatever. This has to be near the wall, otherwise not a counter hit. Speaking the same thing here. This guy, hey, if it's a counter hit or punish, oh, the judo chop, it's over, right? Crushing blow still exists, but... And now it's only crushing blow if it misses twice in a row. So, yeah, not to say it won't happen, but definitely not going to be the guaranteed every single game crushing blow it was before. Also, now some other changes to Geras. You cannot quicksand someone stuck in temporal advantage. The move just doesn't come out until they're out of temporal advantage. Gauntlet of the Ages, this guy here. That crushing blow is now 4 frames more recovery. Without end, that's this little happy string here. I'm sure you've seen it a million times. The startup of the final punch, now 21 frames. Meaning that if you go 1-1, this or the third hit don't hit on the exact same frame, so it's not fuzzy ball at all. You can now fuzzy, so you can hit down right away and then hit up, and you'll be able to get both of them. Still going to take some timing on your behalf. It's not free. It's not guaranteed. Take some timing on your behalf, right? But there's now a 4-frame difference between the two options when they used to hit on the exact same frame. Geras' down jab. Easily the best down jab in the game. Inarguable. Best down jab in the game. Has taken a hit. So recover is 3 frames slower on hit. So less a hit advantage here. And if it is blocked, it is now -5 versus, basically negative nothing, right? So you actually have a turn to take after blocking Geras' jab now. So it's still a good jab. It's still 6 frames. That ain't different. It's still faster than everybody else's. He can still get punishes that no other character in the game can get. But it is not as belligerent as it was before. Other than that, we got some bug fixes and something with an idle animation. But yeah, so some of the crushing blows you're not going to get as easily. So no more 4 to 5 crushing blows a game. And the dreaded 50-50 is no longer a true 50-50. You can definitely, after the first 2 hits, block low, then block high and get both options, right? But that's it. Geras still has every tool he's had. He's still stupid good. If I'll just put that over there right now. If you know a friend that plays Geras and they drop Geras because of this patch, feel free to call your friend a fraud. Because Geras is still, he's still top 5. Geras is still one of the best characters in the game, 10 down. Everything else, all this stuff, that's all good, you know. All that he lost was the mix-up and some of the crushing blows were worse. Everything else is still very intact, still very good. He's still a very strong character. Jacqui. So Jacqui, also another character, has a health change. 950 now from the standard 1000, so slightly less health. Now, going on to the changes, grease kicks. Both the regular version and the EX version do 10 less damage. In a longer combo, that just means, basically without scaling, slightly less damage, because her damage output is among the highest in the game, to be sure. And it still will be, just a little bit less than normal. Going with that here, the clinch. The elbow does also 10 less damage as well. And the double knee hit, that's this guy right here. So the advantage you have on hit now is less here. So before you had like a million years of advantage, and you still have a lot, especially if it's in the corner, right, where it matters. But mid-screen, not so much here, down to 14 as you can see. It says 13 in the patch, but it says 14 in game, so you tell me, I don't know. Moving on from there, her sweep. So that's this guy right here. Second hit, block stun increased by 5 frames. So if we move over here to block, and see here, -9. So it used to be barely negative at all. And like at this distance, -9's like no one's punching that anyways, but definitely lost her turn at the very least. Bionic dash, this guy here got buffed. Yeah, buffed. Jacqui, she got a buff. Has one more active frame, meaning it has one more frame to play around with to actually hit the enemy, and it recovers 3 frames faster if you miss. So yeah, just strictly buffed. That's all there is to it. Some of her non-competitive variation stuff's also changed. You can check the patch notes for that. Now the up grenade launcher amplified. That's this guy right here. I always found that one move very fun here. So the hit region has been adjusted, starts faster, recovers faster, has increased combo damage scaling when hitting an opponent out of the air, and it'll cause a lower gravity reaction, meaning they won't fall out of the air quite as fast. Now also, another fun, odd move right here, the Tech Dome. So Tech Dome doesn't last as long no more. Down to 7 seconds. However, it activates faster, and she recovers quicker. So it not as active as long, but it's actually a lot more reasonable and usable in the middle of a match without getting your head kicked in. Besides a bunch of bug fixes, also her arm break and leg break, that is the throw tech, where you can catch them for throw teching you. They have been lower damage, 100 to 140. So overall, she's still pretty much the same with just a little bit of health and just a smidge less damage. Everything you like about Jacqui, though, if you played Jacqui and truly enjoyed the character, everything's still intact. So still very much the character she used to be, just not quite as savage. Jade, not the biggest changes, but still... Hey, how'd I do that? So right now, the pole vault run variation, that guy right here, never been really the popular pick. You can actually do some stuff out of it now. So while you're running, you can actually do a nitro kick here, her shadow kick, and it does cost some offensive bar, just so you know. But it also does more damage than a regular one, just so you know. And the actual pole vault itself, the move right here. So the damage has been increased. It recovers a frame faster as well. Now, if you want to amplify it here, the amplified damage here, increased by 10, starts up a frame faster, recovers a frame faster, has one more active frame. Still, you know, kind of wonky if you're trying to do it in someone's face, right? But still, a much better move all around. Moving forward here to the Nitro Kick. So, if you want to amplify it, ability has 5 more block stun with more pushback. Still death on block, though. Don't be too crazy about it. And besides that, we got some bug fixes here. Adenian Spark, even though obviously it's a low, then what's considered low, that's fixed. And just some more issues. Now, for Jade, not the biggest patch in the world to be sure, but pole vault's better. Maybe it's not amazing, but, you know, in fact, you can do this. You can also go right into a fatal blow, by the way. So while you're running, if you're just a complete nut, I mean a complete nut, you can go, ah, and then just fatal blow them in the face. That'll work. But it's better, does a little more damage, a little more recovery, a little faster, better, stronger, all that kind of fun stuff. Hopefully more useful. It has more options, that's really good. But the core Jade experience, the variation everyone else plays, that's effectively untouched. Alright, Jax. So if you, and let me know in the comments if you did, if you saw the whole, timestamps in the video description, you're like, I'm going Jax first. I don't got much for you, boy. I don't. Jax got a single change, and that's with the gotcha grab here. So, basically, the only change is to be less trolly. Reduce the maximum time allowed between hits per car, the gotcha grab. So before, you can, like, grab you, one, wait, and this is way shorter, by the way. You can grab you, hit you, wait, hit you, wait, hit you, wait, and so forth. So on and so forth, right? So yeah, now you can't wait. So basically, it's just literally a thing to change annoying people online. That's it. I'm just stretching this to make it so it's not a single choice, basically. And that's all you got. Move on to the next character. Headset disconnected. I got nothing for you. That's all there is. Jackson didn't get much. So Johnny, the patch note list isn't as big as you think, but there's more to it than you think. First up here, throwing shades, this guy here. The crushing blow does less damage, but it is now a true stun. So you can like hit it, and then like if I was not so slow and bad and didn't know how to play Johnny, you could hit it and then combo after it and that kind of stuff, right? Also, almost famous, this guy right here, now has a lot more hit advantage, so you can use it in strings and just kind of go from there. Now, those are the two changes on paper, but before you get all freaked out, a lot of the changes are, and this is universal, have to do with hitboxes, hurt boxes, all kind of stuff. Johnny had a lot of weird things where a lot of people could punch his stuff for no reason or get out of his stuff for no reason, that is fixed. That's not a specific change to him, because once again, they fix a lot of hitboxes and hurtboxes, but it does make him a lot less frustrating to use. Let's put it that way. Stuff works the way it should work without you freaking out. So only 2 changes on paper, and maybe not the changes you want, to be honest. I'm sure not too many people were worried about the shades. Only 2 changes on paper, but still, hitbox, hurtbox issues are a lot better off now. Kano's changes are all in the Molotov cocktail variation, this guy right here. So first and foremost, Black Dragon Ball, the old spin to win. Powered up by Vegemite, now starts up 10 frames faster than it was before. At 12 frames, 2 frames faster. 1 more active frame, 20 more frames of block stun. Still death on block though, don't worry about that. Still death on block, 1 more frame recovery. And also, if you do the up version, this guy here, and it only works while you're in Vegemite, by the way. You can't do the up version outside of Vegemite. Also does 20 more damage. So, as you can see here, if we're in Vegemite, up close, 120. And if we do the up version here, 140. So better for combos, that kind of stuff. The cocktail here, Molotov cocktail, it's still kind of slow, but it's faster. So it starts up 2 frames faster before like the thing actually hits the ground, and recovers 5 frames faster, making it much more real and much more realistic to use in the match. So Chemical Burn, that's this guy right here. This is the thing that works very well with Molotov cocktail, as you can see there. So Chemical Burn, damage is increased by 20. Now faster startup, 12 versus 14 frames. Recovers frame faster, hit stun's better, block stun's better, everything's better. Also has the EX version as well here, and also unblockable connects. So the enhanced Chemical Burn can do more damage now, 20 more damage than before. Recovers faster, startup reduced by 8 frames. Recovery reduced by 8 frames. Block stun increased by 10 frames. Pushback increase, everything. Strictly better move. Also has a new version. So you can do a close amplify now. And see here, it creates a fire pit, just like the main fire pit from the main DOT. And if you got the Chemical Burn on you, also is unblockable, just so you know. As we see right here, see unblockables, take the DOT, all that kind of stuff. Much, much, much better here. Also on the basic stuff here, down 3, 1 frame faster startup, and also recovers 2 frames faster on block. So yeah, it's all about Molotov cocktail and all about the Chemical Burn, basically. This is definitely the chosen variation. Other variation didn't even get touched. So Katana, not massive changes in the end here. First up here, Adenian Razors, and that's the variation with the Sai. So Adenian Razors, this guy right here, now has 2 different ranges, is a mid now. As you can see, mid. Decreased pushback, increased hit stun. This has a hit region adjusted. I'm not sure what that means, honestly. I can't see the hitboxes. Slightly adjusted startup and active recovery frames, depending on where the button is released, because once again, you can hold this move. Generally, just making it a mid. That's better. So Royal Protection, this guy right here, is basically better doing its job here. So the first framework to destroy projectiles is now on frame 5 versus frame 10, so it gives you more time to react. 5 more active frames, and also the recovery has been reduced by a little bit. The buff it gives you now is double the length, 6 seconds versus 3 seconds, but the damage buff is less, 33% now versus 50%. But now you actually have time to play around with it, so that's something. Square Wave and Air Square Wave do more damage now. It used to do 60, now it does 80. Strict buff, just moves better, does more damage. Going back to Half-Blood Stance. So first up here, Gutted, this guy right here. The Crushing Blow for it, the recovery's been reduced, so you recover a little bit quicker. And the Dive Kick from it, this guy right here. So you now enter a ducking state on the 5th frame of the attack while lowering to the ground, meaning you can actually, depending on the character, be hit by highs and stuff while you're just kind of going down to the ground. So it just makes you basically a little more evasive, making it a lot better to use as a reactionary move. So straight buff for that. So once again, Katana, not big changes, but still in the end, good quality life changes. Kollector might be the biggest winner of the patch. If you know me and you know this channel, I know a lot about Kollector. Most people don't. I do. Kollector's basically my main. He's my most played character, so I guess that makes him my main. So let's go over these changes. And first, we do have a nerf. So the puddle here now does 6 ticks instead of 4, and each tick does less damage. 15 damage to 1.5% versus 2. So this I consider a strict nerf, honestly. Yeah, you got more time to play around with the puddle to do like explosion setups and all that kind of stuff. And the explosion setup stuff has been slightly adjusted to make it a little bit easier, but not much easier, honestly, not much easier. So it makes it getting those explosions earlier easier, but in the way you'd want to use it, especially the punching projectiles and stuff here, you'd usually get 4 to 6% before they can even move, and now it's going to be like, 3 to 4.5%. Not major numbers to be sure, but still, it's a change. But after that, hey, we're pretty much going all uphill from here. Demonic Mace, that guy right here, 29 frames instead of 34. It's still not amazing. I'm not gonna lie, it's still not amazing, but hey, it's faster or something. The Up Demonic Mace, that's the other competitive variation, will have 3 levels of charge that can cause increased blocks on the more it's held. Now one here, and I played around with this one, and I'm still not sure. Dambola hit region reduced outside of a combo, and while an opponent is in a combo, the hit region is increased. I got hundreds of games of Kollector on my belt, thousands even probably. I have no idea what that means, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. But now moving forward here. So, Blood Money. I stand 1-3. Now, the stand 1-3, so the second part of this here, the 3, has 1 more active frame. Means it's a little bit easier to get in combos. I'm a big fan. 1 less frame recovery on miss. Had hit region adjusted. I played around, but basically it's just easier to get your basic combos. In my mind here, so that is... that's stand 2 into the little grab here. So, has more combo scaling. We'll do less damaging combos, just so you know. But, you can now go right into Fatal Blow from it. And considering its combo structure is going to change, which I'll have to have a video later showing that over, it can be a big deal here. Greed. So, that is back to 3-3. Back to 3, also one of those race strings here. The final set says it's had its hit region adjusted. Honestly, don't know what it means. Doesn't matter. You never used it anyways. Take it all. That's stand 3-2. It has a crushing blow. It says it had its hit region adjusted, and honestly, the crushing blow for it, it's still the same as it ever was. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. We're getting to stuff that matters here in a second here. First up here, Death Spin. Hit region adjusted. Don't know. Same move as it's always been to me. I cannot tell you anything different. Played around with it a lot. Same move it's always been. Now we get some of the bigger changes here. So 4-3. 4-3, very big boot, very long range. -5 safe, but you can never do anything after it. If it got blocked, that was it. It doesn't matter what you input, nothing else happens. Now, you can do stuff. You can do stand 1 here, 1-2, or just go 1-2-3 and get it all in there. 1-2-3 is very negative. With the pushback in mind, 4-3-1, all that, -12 is reasonable. Once again, just 4-3 by itself is the most safe. But yeah, you can do nothing on block. Now you got like a little bit of a canned game here. I'm going to do 1 hit, do 2 hits, or all 3, right? Still not special cancelable, but say it's something, it's interesting. Alright, now let's get to it, boys and girls, where the big changes are happening. So first up here, stand 4-4. Always one of his best moves. Always one of his best moves. Less negative on block now, it will look like. Used to be a lot more death on block up close, and -10 this far away is basically safe for the most part. And now, this is the main event. This is the main event. So before, stand 4-4-3, and that used to never come out on whiff or block, by the way. You just hit you, and then if you're playing the variation I played, you cancel this, get 1 tick in, they can move or whatever. And if you're playing the other variation, you didn't even get that, right? Now, it's a launcher. And if I could combo after it, like someone who's recording videos for YouTube should be able to, but I can't. There we go. We get combos off this now. This is the biggest deal. This is easily the biggest change for the character. As someone who mains this character, as someone potentially has put the most time in this character out of everybody, this is I cannot stress to you how big of a deal this is. This is a literal game changer. Because, you use this move anyways as a poke move. Because it's 14 frames, good range. As you can see, it hits from this far away, which basically outranges most of the cast. And if anyone else has comparable range, this moves faster than their move, right? So that's already really good. Now with the launch, oh my lord. This is the biggest deal. And this shoots him up the tier list, in my opinion. Straight up, shoots. Check future videos. I'll have the Kollector tips guide now. I promised after the patch. Sometime, maybe end of this week, maybe next week. I don't know. But man, oh man, oh man. I cannot stress to you how big of a change that is. On to some more mundane things after that crazy change. Uppercut is better. He already had one of the better uppercuts too. Now has 2 more active frames and 2 less frames on miss. Jump 2, this guy right here. Very important for combos. Almost no one ever did it. Because when you're jumping in, it used to be basically impossible to hit on small characters, right? And now it's actually much more reliable to hit on small characters, meaning his combo damage just goes up. Every combo will go up 1 or 2 more % now, basically, because of this change. So it just means he gets more damage now overall. Really good for him. His up 2 on Wake Up actually hits airborne opponents now. It was literally bugged and could not hit airborne opponents at all before. So now, working as intended. It's basically a bug fix, yes. It's not a buff per se, it's a bug fix. But considering he never had the option before, hell, it feels like a buff to me now. Besides a couple bug fixes, which are once again in the balance patch notes, you can check on the video description. The far teleport got nerfed. It has 42 frames of recovery now versus 39. Once again, universal change. The other teleports in the other variation, fully unaffected, fully unchanged. Just far teleports universally got more frames of recovery. Now, if you're watching this video in sequential order without skipping around the timestamps, you saw me be very happy with Kollector's changes. So now it's time to bring the mood down. Kotal Kahn is still the worst character in the game. The patch notes here, the changes, while technically buffs, don't really move the needle. So first and foremost, once again, we have health changes now. Kotal Kahn has above average health, versus before this patch, everyone had the same amount of health. So Kotal has 1,100 health versus the standard being 1,000. The parry is better now. It is better. Starts up in 10 frames, used to be 14, and now recovers a frame quicker, but it's still slow. When it comes to purely reactionary moves, 10 frames, still too slow to really do what you need to do. But at least it's something. Also, this is now a better thing as well. Moves that are parried by the parry now basically count as if they've been flawless blocked. So if a move is much more negative on flawless block versus regular block, you will get the much more negative version of the move, and that is something. Now, moving on, we have a lot of cat buffs. So Taquani Mall here, start up 17 frames, much faster than it used to be versus 19. Recovers 16 frames faster on block. Recovers 33 frames faster on whiff. Recovers 13 frames faster on hit, and the hit region has been adjusted. But with all that said, and how much better it is on block and all that kind of stuff, still death on block. Don't get me wrong. You will die if this is blocked. Now the amplified version recovers 20 frames faster on block as well. And -8, a lot of characters point blank like this, they can still punish you. They only need a 7-frame jab and they're going to ruin your day. So against characters that can't do that, and say they only have like a 7-frame down 1 or something, you know, like Kotal himself, right? Then, okay, it's not as big of a deal, but still, in a purely reactionary thing, it's still going to get you killed. Air to quantity pounce. This guy right here. Air Cat is better now. So it starts up in 14 frames. It is 1 frame slower than it used to be, but recovers 3 frames faster on block or miss. Has 5 more frames of block stun with increased pushback. But it's still death on block. Once again, you will die if this move is blocked. Air to quantity pounce. 1 frame slower. Recovers 8 frames faster. This is the enhanced version. Covers 8 frames faster on block or miss. Has 5 more frames of block stun. And it's still death on block, guaranteed punish. I can't pronounce it. It's back 223. So back 223 now has an airborne frame match animation, meaning it still has a gap between this and this that the enemy can punish you. And since it's airborne, now they can down 1 you and then combo out from there. So for some characters, actually get better punishes than they used to versus the standing thing. So this was a massive issue, completely not addressed. And like they basically put a band-aid on it and the band-aid fell off as soon as they put it on, because some characters actually get better punishes now than they could have before. It's very disappointing to say the least. Moving on. So stuff like jump back punch, this guy right here. So jump back punch and the jump straight kick, this guy right here, had their cancel frames adjusted. Doesn't state how or why. Some of the gimmicks I had, they still work. With like doing a blocked jump kick into canceling into command grab, that still works. So I'm not fully sure what that means, but it is what it is. Down back kick, that's down 4, has 1 more frame of hit stun, and there's a bug fix, and there's only 1 real buff, like big buff. That's down 3. So if you watched the video I made about how much Kotal Kahn sucks, this is one of the moves I harped on, and this is now actually mildly real. So down 3, now 8 frame, used to be 9. Recovers 3 frames faster, and also has 4 more frames of hit stun. So you see here, has 13 frames of hit stun. Meaning, now if the enemy set the down here, he can actually jail now. So this is a big buff for him. Like, there's no real talking around it. It is substantially a buff. As you see here, stand 2 can hit from good distance away. Not so much stand 1, but stand 2 can hit from a good distance away. So it is a big buff. But it still means, you know, like stand 2 strings, still punishable and block and all that kind of fun stuff. I guess words fail me. If you know me and you know this channel, I was looking very much forward to Kotal Kahn buffs. And the other variation is not even touched. Straight up, there's no changes to the other variation. There's nothing to talk about. All the issues it has, still has. And cat buffs are cool, but in the end, they're not going to move the needle. Down 3 is a real change that does make the character better. And it makes the character better in both variations. But in the end, Kotal Kahn, he's still the worst character in this game. Kung Lao. So not too many changes on Kung Lao front. So Order Light, that's the 1-2-1 string here. This guy right here. Hit stun increased by 6 frames, meaning it has 6 frames hit advantage now versus 0. Sweeping Razor, that is the sweep. Recovery decreased by 6 frames, so slow recovery. And see, it takes him a hot second to get back, right? But it's not as deft as it was before. And basically all the changes are on Orbiting Hat. So moving on to Orbiting Hat here. 13 frame startup. Before it was 14, so 1 frame faster. 5 more frames of block stun, 5 more frames of hit stun, 2 less recovery frames. Now this one's weird because it's -4, it used to be -7, so the math doesn't work out on that. But whatever, it's less negative on block. So since it is -4, you actually will have the opportunity, if they attack you right away, to flawless block and punch afterwards. Now also the Omega Hat, this guy right here. So 1 frame faster on the startup here, and recovers 6 frames faster. But it does take all 4 of your bars, so its usefulness, as always, is somewhat debatable. And that is it for Kung Lao. Moving on to Liu Kang here, double dragon kick. So I know a lot of you guys, unless you're a Liu Kang player, you probably don't like this string here. Double dragon kick has reduced pushback on the second hit, meaning you are now actually somewhat closer than you used to be. Versus if he just like did this and didn't do any follow up, and then he'd be well in range to just, you know, do a second one and a third one and a fourth one until, you know, you just start guessing wrong on the strings. So you're a little bit closer, so you have a little more agency to stop him from taking his turn again. Also here, Dragon's Breath here, so that's 4-3-3-3. 10 less frames of block stun on the first hit with a reduced pushback. Low Fireball, so 3 frames slower on recovery. So he'll actually be more negative the closer you are. And he does have more frames on hit stun. So basically, if he actually connects with it, then you're basically about the same as you always were. But on block, it is much more disadvantageous on block. So on to Wuxi Legend. So if you manage to smack someone with an energy parry here, you actually create true stun. What does that mean? You can combo after it. That was 2 hits. So that actually makes this move useful versus, like, you know, kind of maybe not so great here. Also here now, if you are in Wuxi Legend, so any move here that is a Dragon's Gift move here, this guy right here, now it does more damage than it used to. 20 more damage across the board. Also, the high attack now has more pushback, and the overhead has had it hit region adjusted. Once again, not sure. They had no hitbox over here. But yeah, so Wuxi Legend, it was already kind of a sleeper, good variation. And now that you can't really outzone it without just taking a lot extra damage, and all the attacks from it actually do more damage, it might be a little bit better yet. Moving on to Noob Saibot, first and foremost, Shadow Tackle. If you want to enhance it, actually does damage now. Did 40 more damage. So before, if you enhance it, so see it does 99, it did literally less than 1% more damage. Literally less than 1%. So now it actually does some damage here and actually is usable outside of the crushing blow. Shadow Slide in the other competitive variation, it has now changed. 1 more recovery frame. The travel speed not as fast as she used to be. Not to say it's slow though, but can now be amplified. And by the way, this does count towards the EX Shadow Tackle. And each of these is their own shadow. So it's 2 shadows per amplify, not just 1. Also here, the Ghost Ball. Crazy old thing that it is. Does recover 14 frames faster, making it a little bit more usable. And also here, so it says here, it doesn't say to what detail, adjusted stamina regeneration after the Ghost Ball debuff expires. They don't explain it in full, but hey, it is what it is. Now, his down 3, down 4, he's always had some of the best down 3s and down 4s. First up here is down 3. 2 more frames on recovery on hit or miss, but 4 more frames of hit stun, meaning basically in the end it is now +2 when you take all that into mind here. So when it's +2, it's just easier to hit your jails with. Him and jailing with down 3 was one of his biggest traits, and he was one of the best characters at it because his down 3 hits from far away, right? And if you're like even really far away, you can still jail in the 4 too, right? So his jailing options were among the best in the game. And now it's just a little bit easier and a little bit better. Now down 4, 2 more frames of recovery, 2 less frames of hit stun. So you're a little bit less plus after a hit, just so you know. And it says it has his box changed up. So not big changes for Noob to say the least, but basically it lets him, the game plan he was already wanting to do, regardless of the variation you were in, he does it better now. Oh, and his down 1 and down 4 worse. So Raiden got some buffs, but they're mostly in the Raiden variation. So first and foremost here, Electric Burst, this guy right here, starts up slower, 19 frames versus 17, but recovers 3 frames later. So in the end, it comes 1 frame faster. Has increased block stun. Here, let me turn on block. And pushback. Now, you see here, -10. Now, if we put on our Raiden charge, see that? So the pushback's like double, maybe triple, and less negative on block. Very safe on block, in fact. So it becomes basically your awesome go-to block stun move. Like you're going for, you know, whatever, and you get blocked. Well, then, hey, go for it. Just make sure, hey, because the buff did run out there, make sure your buff's not out. But otherwise, hey, yeah, just flip some bar far back, and you can kind of go from there. The combo damage scaling has been adjusted, and recovery has also been reduced by 4 frames. Electric Current here, that's this guy here, has damage scaling been adjusted here, recovery reduced by 4 frames. The EX version, this guy right here, now a mid, and keep in mind too, this move is different when you have charge because it becomes like a fireball, right? But the one thing here, if you have your charge and you EX, it's a launcher now. And like you can actually get combos and crap after it. This variation, if you're not aware, very low on the combo potential, to say the least, right? So now you actually can get combos, and that is a big deal for this variation. Now, when it comes to the charge itself here, the actual charge itself, once you block so many hits, you get your discharge, right? And you can EX discharge and like all that kind of fun stuff here. We'll build it in 1 second. That has been nerfed slightly, unfortunately. So now 6 frame startup, used to be 4. So basically discharge could punish stuff no other move in the game could punish because of such fast startup. Now it is 6 frames, keeping in line with like the fastest of all the jabs, right? So you lost something a little bit unique, but you gained combo potential, which is something it didn't have before at all. So I think it's a fair change in the end. Also, the quote-unquote main variation, the Lightning Strike Amplify actually now will always hit the opponent, as the second hit now tracks instead of just being placed where it is. So say from roughly this distance here, second hit would always miss. Now it actually will connect. So it's just a lot more reliable. Also, Far Spark Report, just like all Far Teleports, has been nerfed. Now recovers in 21 frames, used to be 19. So still way faster than every other teleport, but still, once again, all the Far Teleports have been nerfed a little bit, and keeping in line with that. So Raiden, the quote-unquote main variation, it's basically the same as it always been, but Raiden is definitely unique. Once again, charge lets you play a really weird game. You have a weird projectile with a low-hitting ground lightning, and now it has combo potential. It can be real. I don't know. I would highly suggest you give it a shot because it's unique among variations to be sure, and now you can just play along with it pretty well. Skarlet, not many changes, just so you know, and a couple bug fixes as well. But first and foremost, Reaching Whip, that's their sweep here. Has 5 less recovery frames, so it recovers faster, meaning it's a lot safer on block as well. Is debatably the best sweep in the game to begin with. So it recovering faster, honestly, just a straight boon to her. It's a really, really good move, and now it's just better. Now moving on from that here, Silent Stab down 1. It's this guy here. More hit advantage. So it used to be 8 frames, so it only exactly jail and stand 1 on like a frame perfect move, and now you have a lot of leniency, so just a lot better for jailing, a lot better for using it as it should have been used for to begin with. The down 3 here, down 3 different hit reaction, so it's like the I barely move my leg one. Also now it's plus 14 on hit. Used to be like plus 2 or something. 11 more frames of hit stun, so once again now used for jailing, of course, and plus this is plus 14. You can like jail and stand 2 with this, right? Because the numbers line up that way. So yeah, wildly better. Down 4 as well. Down 4 also has a lot more hit stun as well. 11 more frames just like down 3. And yeah, just I know these aren't like amazing blow your mind changes, but they are pretty good. Also, once again, as always, while teleport, the far teleports. Bloodport far now has 50 frames of recovery from 42. This is only the far one. The regular ones are the same, but the far one is slower like they are across the board. So Sonya, one big nerf and a couple of small changes. So one here first, she is now a low health character, 950 health versus the standard 1000. And she also has her amplified energy rings. That's these guys here. The dash cancel from it. So when you dash cancel and recombo, that will basically induce more combo scaling, so your combos will do less damage. Air control, this guy here. You remember this move, right? If you EX it, it does more damage. That is a buff indeed, but no longer bounces. So that is a fairly decent nerf. There's no more recombo after it. That's the end of the combo if you're going to use that specific move. Besides that, she has some bug fixes. So it is basically nerfs around the board, but once again, she's still Sonya, right? Like, she still has the mix-ups here. You want to go low, you want to go overhead, mix-up forever. Hey, she still does it, and she does it pretty dang decently. But some of your options are going to be a little more limited in getting some of your damage out, as she was one of the highest damage characters in the game. But that said now, a little more in line with everyone else. Still, she's good. Like, once again, she's got the mix-ups. Ring doesn't stop being any less fast. The crushing blow ring, still as good as it ever was, right? So she took a hit, yes, but she is still a good character. Now, moving on to Shao Kahn. He's got quite a few changes. Now, Shao Kahn, first up, he is now a high health character. He has 1,050 health versus the standard 1,000. The Annihilation Crushing Blow, that's this guy right here, recovers faster, meaning potentially there is new combo routes. I have not figured out as of this time. Also, the Forward Throw Crushing Blow also recovers faster slightly. And once again, potentially new combo routes. Merciless Spear now does 80 damage instead of 60. So it is no longer tied for the lowest damage projectile. Now it still has its issues. It's still slow. It still has a bad hitbox. It can miss people it shouldn't miss at all. But it does do more damage. Now, Shoulder Charge down, Amplify. That's this guy, the one you pretty much never see. The startup is now 22 frames instead of 20. Recovers 13 frames faster, though, and the advantage is increased by 8. So basically, if it hits here, you have a lot of hit advantage, as you can see here. Like, I can just walk around as they're getting up and kind of dominate their wake up. Dark Priest, the buff. So it does recover 17 frames faster, but it's still really slow. Seeing Nightwolf, not to get too far ahead of ourselves because he's not out yet, but he gets a damage buff, and it's a lot faster than this. But still, it's something. Now, for the most part here, if you do get the spear from full screen, for the most part, the Dark Priest buff's now basically guaranteed. There was still some characters that could still punish you from full screen, and with characters like, say, Geras or Cetrion, they're still going to be able to punish you. But that said, for the most part, it's safe now to do after a full screen spear. Anywhere else, though, once again here, startup and recovery, it's over 120 frames. You're still going to get hit. So it's faster. And once again, if you get a spear and you're far away, if you're close, you're not going to get it. But if you're far away, it's pretty much guaranteed. Any other situation, though, you're still going to get beat up. The taunts as well, they are much faster. So they both are 36 frames faster. And the debuff lasts a lot longer. But as you can see, startup here and recovery, despite them being 36 frames faster, realistically, in a real match, you're never going to get it. Other than, once again, the spear full screen knockdown setup here, and you go into it. And that's about the long and short of it, but at least it lasts longer. I was kind of hoping for these to be faster across the board, but once again, this is editorializing too much, I suppose. They are faster, but they can still be a lot faster yet. Now, going on to a lot of the changes of the normals here. Face Smash. Stand 1 here. Cancel frame occurs 1 frame earlier and has 1 more recovery frame. The Warlord at Stand 1 2. So Stand 1 2, cancel frames occurs 2 frames earlier, 13 frames startup, down from 15. Cancel occurs 2 frames earlier, 5 less recovery frames, 5 more flames and blocks done. So if we have it here and we got it blocked, all said and done, it's still -7, just so you know. So still basically safe. I know it's a lot of words to throw at you, but basically when it works in your favor, it works a little bit better. Die. This is 1 2 1 plus 3. This guy right here. So on block, and we'll set it up over here again. On block, it can no longer be special canceled on block, which is a strict nerf. This used to be the ultimate turn stealer on multiple levels. So you can do Stand 1 2, and you know, okay, if they tried to take your turn, and he did the follow up, you would hit him, right? And then it's like, well, you hit this. Well, you're going to try to take your turn, right? And then you could special cancel into like shoulder or something else, right? And you could still punch them for stealing their turn again. So there was multiple levels of I can steal a turn here, and I can steal a turn here, right? If you try to dare hit me. And now you can't do that anymore. It's only 1 layer. And that is a nerf, unfortunately. Stand 1 4, the kick part here has faster startup. Tenderizer, which is away and 2, this guy right here, has 1 more active frame, cancel frames occur 1 frame earlier, 1 frame less recovery, and has its hit region adjusted. Now here's the positive buff here, 4-2. The animation for 4-2 hitting is different, and what does this mean? It means if you hit max range, go for 4-2-1, you always hit. So before, at absolute max range, because the pushback was so much, the 4-2-1, the part where he punches you, could actually miss. And now, as far as I can tell, and as far as I've tested it, it can never miss. So you could like actually get punished for doing this at max range, and now you won't. So hey, that's pretty cool. 4-2-1-2. The final hit's a little bit quicker. Fear Me, which is 4-2-4. This guy right over here. This actually is a pretty decent change, as the overhead part is now plus on block. As you can see, +2. So pretty big deal. Gives them a little bit more source of plus frames. So that is very handy. Jump 1 here, the hammer poke, has its hit region adjusted. I don't know what that means, other than this move actually struggles to hit a standing opponent now. When I don't remember it doing so before. Like, you have to wait till the last possible second to do it. And considering Jump 2 exists, I don't know why you would ever on Earth do it. Yeah, it just kind of really stinks. Once again, Jump 2 effectively invalidates it. And besides all that, there's a bunch of bug fixes, audio issues, all that kind of stuff fixed. So, in the end, he is definitely a buff character. I would say I would heavily stand for him to be more buffed than he was. Because, once again, like stuff like the Ridicule is faster, Dark Priest is faster, but it's not fast enough. It's still a very slow move, both of them. And so, some issues, but, you know, plus frames is good here. The 1-2, 1 plus 3 nerf actually hurts because it was a way to just steal turn after turn after turn, making the enemy guess. That sucks. So, overall, I would say it's a positive adjustment, but it's, in the end, not a very big one. Now, Shang Tsung, he's the newest character on this list, being the only DLC character on this list. And Ground Eruption is one that got hit pretty hard, to be honest with you. So, Ground Eruption here, the first hit does less damage. Does 50, used to do 60. And the second hit here does 40, used to do 60. So basically all your combos that use Ground Eruption are going to do less damage. Now, the utility of the move is still good. The utility is still the same as it always was, and you're still going to get all sorts of great combos with it, but yeah. Also, the EX does 30, used to do 60. So just less damage all over. Now, in the context of a large combo, it's not going to be the end of the world because of all the scaling, but you still do less damage than you would have otherwise. But the move, once again, still retains all the usefulness it had. Down 1 has 7 frame startup now versus 8, so it is 1 frame faster than it used to be. So 7 frame jab. Good to have them. Always 7 frame Jab is always handy to have when, if you know, compared to like an 8 frame or something really bad, right? 2 more recovery frames though, just so you know, 1 more frame of hit stun. Basically means it's plus 10 now instead of plus 11. And beside that, just a bunch of bug fixes. So the only real balance change was once again to the ground eruption, which once again is still an eminently fantastic move. If you played Shang Tsung, this is not a reason to switch the character, nothing. You just do a little bit less damage in your combos effectively. But other than that, still an amazing move, to say the least. And yo, Corpse Drop is untouched, which is the actual best move, so don't worry about it. And there you have it. I'm sure this was a very long video. I don't know. I haven't edited it together yet, but I'm sure it was a long video. So overall, I gotta say I am impressed with the balance patch. There are some things I don't understand, to be sure. Like, you know, I thought Kotal would have been buffed to the moon. Hey, that didn't happen. But some characters did. Like people who are universally considered bad, you know, like your Dvorahs of the world, your Collectors of the world. You know, I think Collector's always been better than people said he was. They got nice and real and big buffs. People like Dirtbag Kano, I like those buffs a lot. A lot of the top tiers, you know, Cassie, Geras, all those, you know, Erron, they got hit, sure. But they are still incredibly strong and incredibly good characters, to be sure. If you play these characters and you want to switch over, honestly, your friends and your family and your loved ones would be correct in calling you a fraud. Because they are still very strong and very good characters. Anyways, that is it for this video, and that is it for this breakdown of the patch. So, thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Mortal Kombat.